I now give the floor to the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, to brief the Assembly on his priorities.
Honorable Presidents, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and respect that I stand before you today at this extraordinary moment in history, at this Assembly of the United Nations. I salute President of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Captain Traoré, where leaders from all corners of the world have gathered to discuss the pressing issues of our time. It is a time marked not only by challenges, but by the extraordinary courage, vision, and determination of leaders like Ibrahim Traoré, whose revolutionary spirit has captivated the attention of the world. His leadership and the resilience of the people of Burkina Faso is an inspiration to us all. Today, I wish to speak not just about a leader, but about a movement, a revolution of values, courage, and unyielding resolve. The revolution that Ibrahim Traoré has led is not merely one of political change. It is a revolution of ideas, of ambition, and of deep respect for the inherent dignity of all people. It is a revolution that seeks to lift up the people of Burkina Faso, to restore their pride, to reinstate their sovereignty, and to place their future firmly in their own hands. When we think of revolution, we often think of it in terms of conflict, of the tearing down of old structures. But Ibrahim Traoré has shown us that revolution can also be about building, about creating new opportunities, and about reclaiming the space for a nation to chart its own course. It is about the courage to confront not just external threats, but internal challenges as well: corruption, inequality, and the forces that seek to undermine the strength of the people. This is what we are witnessing in Burkina Faso today. A nation standing up, a nation determined to shape its destiny, a nation that is willing to face its problems head on and build a new future for its people. Ibrahim Traoré has embodied this spirit. He has taken on the monumental responsibility of leading his nation through one of the most difficult threats from terrorism and internal challenges from years of instability. Yet, despite these difficulties, he has remaining unyielding, driven by an unshakable belief in the potential of his people. The journey of Burkina Faso under Ibrahim Traoré's leadership is not one of despair, but one of hope, transformation, and renewal. We have all witnessed the courage of the Burkinabe people, who have stood resilient in the face of adversity, who have continued to fight for the right to live in peace, prosperity, and dignity. And it is precisely this resilience that is the bedrock of the revolution Ibrahim Traoré is leading. What is most impressive about Ibrahim Traoré's leadership is not just the courage he has shown in difficult circumstances, but the vision he brings to the table. His approach goes beyond the mere defense of sovereignty. It is about the restoration of dignity. It is about the empowerment of the people, ensuring that every Burkinabe has the opportunity to thrive, to learn, to grow, and to participate in the future of their nation. In his revolution, Traoré has made it clear that the future of Burkina Faso is not one of dependency, but of self-reliance. His vision is one that calls for the revitalization of education, the improvement of healthcare, the development of infrastructure, and the empowerment of youth. His focus on creating opportunities for the younger generation who will inherit the legacy of this revolution is a testament to his long-term thinking and his deep sense of responsibility toward future generations. What Ibrahim Traoré is building in Burkina Faso is not just a political project. It is a social project, an economic project, and a cultural project. It is a project that seeks to reshape the very foundations of society, where every citizen has a stake in the future. And at the heart of this vision lies a deep respect for African values, the values of solidarity, community, and collective progress. These values are embedded in the very fabric of African societies, and they are the key to unlocking the continent's future. It is crucial to recognize that the revolution in Burkina Faso is not taking place in isolation. It is a part of a larger movement across the African continent, where leaders like Ibrahim Traoré are challenging the old paradigms, rejecting the shackles of colonial history, and asserting the right to self-determination. Africa is rising. The people of Africa are speaking loudly and clearly. They are demanding the respect and recognition they deserve, and they are taking charge of their own futures. The African continent has long been subjected to external pressures, exploitation, and interference. For centuries, African nations have struggled to carve out their place in a world that has too often ignored their needs, aspirations, and voices. But now we are witnessing a a change in the way Africa is positioning itself in the world. There is a new generation of African leaders who are standing tall, leading with courage and vision, and showing that Africa's future will be shaped by Africans themselves. Ibrahim Traoré's revolution is a powerful expression of this shift. It is a statement that Africa will no longer be passive. It will no longer be at the mercy of external forces. Africa is moving forward, and it is doing so with confidence, determination, and a clear sense of purpose. It is a revolution that calls for a reimagining of the African experience, one that is centered on African identity, African values, and African solutions to African problems. This is not a call for isolation, but for empowerment. Africa's revolution is not about rejecting the world, it is about engaging with the world on its own terms. It is about forging new partnerships, creating new opportunities for trade, for investment, for collaboration. But it is also about ensuring that these partnerships are equitable, that Africa's voice is heard, and that African nations are no longer relegated to the margins of global decision-making. In praising Ibrahim Traoré, we are not only acknowledging his leadership, we are acknowledging the leadership of Africa as a whole. We are recognizing the incredible potential that resides on this continent, the potential for growth, for innovation, for cultural exchange, and for lasting peace. Africa is not a continent defined by its challenges, it is a continent defined by its resilience, its creativity, and its capacity for transformation. The people of Africa, from Cairo to Cape Town, from Dakar to Addis Ababa, have shown time and again that they have the strength to overcome adversity and the determination to build a better future. Whether in agriculture, technology, education, or governance, Africa is making strides in every area of human endeavor, and it is the vision of leaders like Ibrahim Traoré that will help to unlock the full potential of the continent. We must also recognize that the revolution Traoré is leading is not just for Burkina Faso. It is a revolution that speaks to the wider African experience. It is a call for greater unity, for the strengthening of African institutions, and for the promotion of peace and security across the continent. It is a call for solidarity, for working together to address common challenges, and for building a future that is rooted in the values of justice, equity, and opportunity. At the United Nations, we understand the importance of these principles. We understand that the future of the world depends on the success of these movements, on the success of Africa's rise, and it is our responsibility to support these movements, to stand in solidarity with the people of Burkina Faso and with the people of Africa. It is our duty to ensure that the African voice is heard, that African solutions are supported, and that Africa is given the space it deserves to shape its future. In conclusion, I want to reaffirm my admiration for the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, for the resilience of the Burkinabe people, and for the strength and vision of Africa as a whole. The revolution that is taking place in Burkina Faso is not just a political transformation, it is a cultural, social, and economic awakening that has the potential to change the course of history. And it is a revolution that is deeply rooted in the values of unity, self-determination, and respect for the dignity of every person. The world is watching, and the world stands with you. Burkina Faso, Africa, and the people who inhabit this great continent have a bright future ahead of them. It is a future that will be shaped by your vision, by your courage, and by your determination. Ibrahim Traoré's leadership stands as a beacon of hope and transformation for Burkina Faso, representing a revolution not just of political change, but of profound values, courage, and a deep commitment to self-determination. His leadership has ignited a movement that transcends traditional political reforms, focusing on uplifting the people, revitalizing critical sectors of the economy, and empowering the next generation to shape their own future. This is a leadership model that is rooted in the belief that true transformation begins from within, starting with the people themselves and their capacity to determine their destiny. For Traoré, the revolution is about restoring pride, dignity, and control to the people of Burkina Faso, enabling them to stand tall in the face of adversity and to chart their own course forward. At the heart of this revolution is a focus on self-reliance. For far too long, many African nations, including Burkina Faso, have been subjected to external pressures, be it from former colonial powers, global financial institutions, or geopolitical forces that do not always have the best interests of the local population at heart. Ibrahim Traoré's vision seeks to break free from this dependency, to build a nation that can stand on its own, without relying on foreign aid or interference. This is not an easy task, but it is one that is essential for the long-term stability and prosperity of Burkina Faso. Traoré understands that true independence comes not just through political sovereignty, but through economic, social, and cultural self-sufficiency. One of the primary areas that Traoré has focused on is revitalizing education. Education is the cornerstone of any nation's future, and the vision for a self-reliant Burkina Faso begins with the empowerment of its youth. By investing in schools, universities, and vocational training programs, Traoré aims to create a generation of educated, skilled, and innovative individuals who can lead the country in various sectors. The importance of education cannot be overstated, especially in a country where young people make up a significant portion of the population. Traoré's leadership recognizes that without providing quality education to the youth, there can be no meaningful progress, and without progress, there can be no true sovereignty. In addition to education, healthcare is another critical area where Ibrahim Traoré has placed significant focus. The health and well-being of the people of Burkina Faso are fundamental to the nation's growth and stability. Access to quality healthcare services has long been a challenge in many parts of the country, particularly in rural areas where resources are limited. Traoré has been pushing for reforms in the healthcare system to ensure that every citizen, regardless of where they live, has access to basic medical care. This includes expanding healthcare infrastructure, improving the quality of care, and making healthcare more affordable for ordinary people. In times of crisis, such as the ongoing health challenges posed by infectious diseases and the lack of resources in remote regions, the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré has been pivotal in prioritizing the health of the people above all else. Alongside education and healthcare, Traoré has also set his sights on the country's infrastructure. A strong, well-developed infrastructure is the backbone of any thriving economy, and it is essential for connecting people, goods, and services across the country. However, many regions of Burkina Faso have long struggled with inadequate infrastructure, which has hampered economic growth and limited access to essential services. Ibrahim Traoré has been working tirelessly to address these gaps by investing in roads, transportation systems, energy production, and communication networks. These infrastructural developments are not just about physical construction. They represent the building blocks of a self-reliant and prosperous nation that can better withstand external shocks and become more integrated within regional and global markets. A critical component of Ibrahim Traoré's leadership is his commitment to creating opportunities for the youth. The youth in Burkina Faso, as in many parts of Africa, are the driving force behind the country's future. With a large percentage of the population under the age of 25, it is crucial that they are equipped with the skills, opportunities, and resources to succeed. Traoré understands that if the youth are given the tools to succeed, they will be the ones to lead the nation into a new era of prosperity. His administration has been dedicated to creating more job opportunities, supporting entrepreneurship, and encouraging innovation. Whether through small businesses, agricultural development, or the growing technology sector, the goal is to provide young people with pathways to economic empowerment, which in turn strengthens the country as a whole. Ibrahim Traoré's leadership is a call to action for a future where the people of Burkina Faso are no longer at the mercy of external forces, but are empowered to control their own future. His vision is one of long-term self-reliance, and he understands that true independence is not a fleeting achievement, but a continual process that requires the active participation of every citizen. He said this vision is not only about economic progress, but also about the cultural revival of the nation, where the people take pride in their heritage, their traditions, and their collective capacity to shape their destiny. Through his leadership, Ibrahim Traoré is transforming Burkina Faso into a model of what is possible when a nation dares to break free from the chains of dependence and sets its sights on a brighter, more equitable future. It is a future where the people are not merely recipients of aid, but active participants in their nation's growth. It is a future where self-reliance, national pride, and collective empowerment are the driving forces of progress. In this vision, every Burkinabe has a stake in the nation's success, and together they can build a country that is resilient, prosperous, and proud of its place in the world. The leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, with its focus on education, healthcare, infrastructure, and youth empowerment, represents not only a political revolution, but a cultural and social awakening. His commitment to empowering the people of Burkina Faso and providing them with the tools they need to succeed is a legacy that will endure for generations to come. Through his vision and leadership, the future of Burkina Faso looks brighter than ever before, and it is a model for self-determined growth for all nations striving for true independence, and lasting prosperity. Ibrahim Traoré's revolution in Burkina Faso is not an isolated event. It is part of a broader and growing movement across the African continent, where nations are rising with a renewed sense of purpose, confidence, and self-determination. In recent years, many African leaders, including Traoré, have taken a bold stand to reject the old paradigms of exploitation, dependence, and external interference. These leaders are asserting the rights of their nations and peoples to determine their own futures free from the shadows of colonialism, neo-colonialism, and foreign control. It is a movement that seeks to redefine the African experience and ensure that Africa's destiny is shaped by Africans themselves. The African continent has long been subjected to external forces that have sought to exploit its resources, undermine its sovereignty, and impose foreign systems and policies, whether through colonial domination, unfair trade practices, or the imposition of foreign aid models that do not align with the needs of African people. However, what we are witnessing today is a shift in this narrative. Leaders like Ibrahim Traoré are leading the charge in rejecting this exploitation and demanding a future where Africa can engage with the world on its own terms. This movement is rooted in the belief that Africa has the potential and the resources to achieve greatness. The continent is home to a wealth of natural resources, a young and dynamic population, and a rich cultural heritage. Yet, for far too long, Africa has been relegated to the periphery of global decision-making, and its potential has been underutilized. What Traoré and other African leaders are emphasizing is that it is time for Africa to reclaim its position at the center of global affairs, not as a passive recipient of aid or charity, but as an active participant in shaping the future of the world. Self-determination is at the heart of this movement. For centuries, African nations have been subjected to the will of foreign powers, whether through colonization or the imposition of policies that do not reflect the realities on the ground. Now, the leaders who are rising to prominence are determined to take control of their country's destinies. They are not simply rejecting foreign control, they are also asserting their right to govern according to the needs, values, and aspirations of their people. This is about putting African priorities first, whether it is in terms of economic development, social justice, or national sovereignty. In this context, Ibrahim Traoré's leadership in Burkina Faso is emblematic of this broader movement. His revolution is not just a political shift in one country. It is a symbol of Africa's collective desire for self-determination, dignity, and respect. He represents a new kind of leadership, one that is unafraid to challenge the status quo and push for a future that places the well-being of his people at the center of policy decisions. His actions signal that Burkina Faso is no longer willing to accept a future dictated by external powers. Instead, the country is forging its own path, with its own vision of progress and justice. This shift towards self-determination is not about isolationism, nor is it a rejection of global cooperation. Instead, it is about ensuring that Africa is able to engage with the world on an equal footing. The goal is not to close off Africa from the rest of the world, but to forge partnerships that are fair, equitable, and mutually beneficial. African nations are calling for partnerships that respect their sovereignty, recognize their rights, and prioritize their development needs. These are partnerships that will allow Africa to trade, invest, and collaborate on its own terms without being taken advantage of or exploited. The focus on sustainable development is another key aspect of this movement. Leaders like Traoré understand that Africa's future cannot be built on the exploitation of its resources or on short-term solutions that do not benefit the people. Sustainable development means ensuring that the resources of the continent are used in ways that benefit future generations, creating jobs, improving education, and promoting health and well-being. This is about building economies that are resilient, diversified, and capable of withstanding external shocks, whether they come in the form of economic downturns, climate change, or political instability. Sustainable development is also about ensuring that the benefits of growth are shared equitably so that all Africans, regardless of where they live or their social status, can enjoy the fruits of prosperity. What we are witnessing in Africa today is not just a political revolution, but a social and economic one as well. The people of Africa are no longer willing to accept a future defined by poverty, underdevelopment, and exploitation. They are demanding the right to a better life, a life of dignity, opportunity, and equality. In this context, the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, with his focus on self-reliance and national empowerment, is symbolic of a broader movement that is sweeping the continent. Africa is no longer waiting for others to shape its future. It is taking control of its own narrative and positioning itself as a key player on the world stage. This movement is about Africa asserting its right to be heard, to make its own choices, and to build a future based on its own values and priorities. It is a movement that seeks to shift the balance of power in international relations, ensuring that Africa's voice is not only heard, but respected. In doing so, it will create a more just, equitable, and prosperous world for all. The success of Africa's rise is not only crucial for the continent itself, but for global peace, security, and progress. As we have seen in Burkina Faso under the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, African nations are taking bold steps towards self-determination, empowerment, and sustainable development. This movement, marked by a deep commitment to justice, dignity, and long-term prosperity, has the potential to transform not only Africa, but also the broader global landscape. When African nations thrive, the entire world benefits, as their growth leads to stronger trade, enhanced cooperation, and a more balanced and equitable global order. In this context, the international community, particularly through platforms like the United Nations, has a responsibility to support and amplify Africa's leadership. It is essential that global institutions prioritize the voices, solutions, and aspirations of African nations. This support should go beyond mere financial aid or superficial partnerships. It requires a shift in how the international community engages with Africa by fostering mutually respectful collaborations, promoting African-led initiatives, and ensuring that African perspectives are central in discussions on global challenges such as climate change, economic inequality, and peacekeeping. Africa's success will not be achieved in isolation. It demands international solidarity and respect for African sovereignty and values. The United Nations, as a key multilateral institution, must continue to provide the necessary platforms for African nations to shape global discussions and decisions. Moreover, it should work to ensure that Africa is empowered to solve its own problems, from economic development to security concerns, with external support that aligns with African priorities and strategy. Ultimately, a world where Africa's voice is heard and its leadership is supported is a world that is more peaceful, prosperous, and fair for all. Africa's rise is indispensable for a future defined by global cooperation and shared progress.